Welcome once again for the Environment Dialogue here at UCTV. We are here every Wednesday from 8 to 9. Make sure that you get information, everything that happens around the climate change environment here in the Pearl of Africa. We bring for you whatever information that's happening. You have heard of the ash weather, the ash wind, which is happening across the world. Oh, the ash. Some people are calling that the ash heat wave that was happening also in Iran. And this week it has been all about Iran, Israel, but we will never leave you out of this discussion. That's the reason why I bring for you always guests, the young people who are dynamic, who are passionate about climate change and environment. As we gear up today, this week for World Environment Day, we are here to make sure that you understand certain concepts, why we hold certain events, why we are always mobilizing the young people across every part of this country to come on board, to understand the concept or the initiative of the government, what the government is trying to sell to us, so that the public can embrace, the community can come out and, take upon them. And today we are handling a national topic that the government has come up with. During the time of International Day of Biodiversity that was celebrated in Eastern Uganda, the national theme was harmony with nature. And this time also, with the help of NEMA and the Ministry of Water, they are still talking about something which is a concern. It's a relationship between nature, which is united against plastic pollution. And today we are here to explore, to tackle how are we ready as a country to handle this? Or maybe there are certain gaps that the country should still bring on board certain people from different places that have the expertise, that they can incorporate certain technology or knowledge into this discussion, because we know that the government cannot do anything alone. And that we remember our elders, the leaders who say that you can never ask always your country to do for you something, or what can Uganda do for you, but you should ask yourself, as J.F. Kennedy, the former president of the United States, said that ask yourself what you can do for your country first, what you can do for NEMA, what you can do for National Forest Authority or Ministry of Water to contribute to the national development. And today we are here with the young people. Some of them, you know them, and one of them is not a guest. It's only one who is a guest today in our show. So without waste of time, let me give this moment first of all for them to introduce themselves. Then we shall get into the topical discussion of today. Let me start from the gentleman before the lady, because the lady is now, the face is familiar here. Let me start from the gentleman. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ochero. Yes, I'm by name Chris Ssali, climate activist, a founder of Safe Uganda, and I'm a researcher as well and a chemistry lab technician. So I know whatever it talks about chemistry, and I know the cause of this crisis is a man-made. So we need to find solutions how to mitigate it and to create the environment ambient for the next generations. Thank you so much.
All right, you have heard from Chris Ssali. Please don't touch your dial. Just get a pen and a paper and sit calm and listen to every word that these young people are trying to, explore together. All right, let me now come to the lady who is always on your screen, and she's not new. You're most welcome today.
Yes, good evening to you all. Thank you, Dickens, for the introduction. I could be new.
No.
Yes, Kkungu Samantha, one that's passionate about youth empowerment, climate action, but also a technologist by profession. So I had you mentioning a chemistry,
yes,
laboratory technician, something more like that, but in the physics department particularly. Yes, and I can't wait to dive deep into this discussion.
Wow. Thank you very much. Last time people were saying you need to bring, you need to scale a balance. A lady and a gentleman, and you see these voices out. Today I have them. They are now up there.
Yes.
Just take up and listen to this discussion. All right, then let's go into our topical discussion of today about plastic pollution. And the national theme that NEMA, the national theme for this year, for World Environmental Day celebration, is United Against Plastic Pollution. As a country, are we ready for this? You know that plastic pollution is a growing crisis in Uganda and across the world, whereby 600 metric tons of plastic are generated in a daily in Uganda here, where you see that it's only 40% of this plastic that are disposed here in Uganda, leaving 60% in the environment to pollute the environment. And with all these statistics that we have, are we ready as a country? Are we prepared enough, as we say, that we should unite against this plastic pollution? And others have been asking very many questions. There have been always policies. We have the National Environmental Act, which is in place, 2020. Yes. We have also National Environmental Waste Management Act. All these regulations are in places. But the question is, first of all, do we understand this word plastic pollution? Let me start from Chris. Chris, what do we understand by plastic pollution? Because it's something that people they always keep listening to this word, plastic pollution, plastic pollution. So what do we understand by this?
To my context of understanding, I can say plastic pollution is the addition of plastic materials into our environment. So once you have those plastic added everywhere in water bodies, we have seen plastic in soil, we've seen plastic in air we breathe in form of microplastics. So that's pollution. Because once you add those plastics to any value, they are affecting our environment. So that's plastic pollution. To my context of understanding, I don't know why I add something on that, but that's what I can say about plastic pollution. All
right, then, Chris, you've had always like people say that, you know, plastic pollution has become a trend, has become a very big crisis in Uganda here. And here today our viewers are looking at us, they are listening to us, and you want this information to be very clear to the viewers so that they may understand what we are talking about, plastic pollution. Because you know, one thing that really the people expect always the government to do everything when we are the consumers of these products that are made out of plastic. But you want everything to be done by the government. And today, that's the reason why I've brought for you these young people who are always there. They're with you in the communities, with the settings. Or they have tried certain intervention also, they have participated. And one of them who have been busy throughout the Uganda Environmental Week is Samantha. And today is here. She should share with us what she understands by this plastic pollution, this thing that we are trying to preach to everyone. Samantha, what do we understand by these things? And are we ready as a country to tackle this? Because it has become a very big issue that right now the government is trying to focus on.
I love the fact that the theme was made united for plastic pollution. It could have been, how do we end plastic pollution? How do we curb plastic pollution or something like that? But it was specifically united for plastic pollution. That should send signals. The fact that we are supposed to unite and end this plastic pollution in our country. Because you've just mentioned about the Uganda. Those are some of the few interventions that we've been having. The Uganda organized the Uganda Environment Week, which it just concluded a few days back. And it was quite interesting because most of the initiatives were related to how best we can fight this issue at hand. We saw so many young people being innovative because we began with the celebrations in Bulemezi, and you could see the locals that are passionate about ending pollution, specifically plastic pollution in the country. Because the students, even when we went to Exodus College in Wakiso, we saw students with amazing ideas, I remember a lady that had a flower that was made out of caveras. And you know, we keep opting for these expensive interior design things, and yet you can just use the available plastics and caveras that you have to create art in your house. Others had flower vases, others had baskets, and if you know the chocolos, you know the chocolos. Exactly. So we saw people being innovative with chocolos. I mean, Chris is a testimony to that. So the small efforts that we put in curbing plastic pollution do matter. That's why it's united. And because we have all these stakeholders on board, we have now the Uganda Kingdom, we have the students in school, we have the local communities, because we could also see how passionate they were about saving the environment. And when you meet these people, they tell you about the challenges they face. Some of them are living in the slums. I can give an example of like the people that are staying around Kaledwe.
Okay.
If you pass around those places, you find it's filled with plastics, caveras, and even if we do the cleanups constantly, we may not be able to eradicate all that at a go, because this drainage is already blocked. Okay. Yeah, so they are going to flood and all that stuff. But I mean, that's why we are here to talk about such interesting topics and how best we can unite to end plastic pollution.
Okay, then my question goes to Chris. Again, I was still talking about that the government has put certain frameworks in place in line with the global framework, like the Paris Agreement, which are in places. And we have seen that since last year, with the help of the Ministry of Water and also National Environmental Management Authority, they have tried at least to bring certain acts in places, like the National Air Quality Act regulation that was passed last year. And also this time we are seeing also the National Climate Change regulations being passed in place. So now, as a country, what has really hindered us to fight this plastic pollution that you think that it has become a very big challenge for us as a country to cut out all this which is happening within our communities? Okay. Because you know that, first of all, Uganda right now, we have over 500,000 industries in our Uganda. And with all this, you know, we are looking, yes, we need the jobs, we need the products from this industry, but what are the challenges that we are facing not to keep out all these big crises which we are talking about today?
The major challenge is about a poor implementation. No, we are having all laws stipulated, but what matters or what create the impact, the way we implement those laws. The government is putting a lot of laws to combat wetland, to combat plastic pollution, but you find the major problem is that they implement those laws. So here in Uganda, to fight against plastic pollution, the youth have already came up with initiatives, like you have nature in mind. Nature in mind, they are creating, they are having dusty bins. They create dusty bins from plastic bottles and many other initiatives which I haven't mentioned here. But find the government has failed to play its role at national level. So my understanding, I would request that the government, for this time round, this year united against plastic pollution, they should play their ball, they should play their cards successfully to have the crisis mitigated. Secondly, they also, on the side of consumers, the consumers also have a role to play as well, because at times you've been buying plastic sodas from plastic bottles, we buy mineral waters, but again we start littering around. But also I blame it to a smaller extent because you have nowhere to put the plastic bottles. The dustbins are counted in towns, there are very few. So I'm calling upon the government, the more you put the laws without implementing them, without putting the clear strategy, it's like a wastage of time. I import to the government to play your ball, to play your card successfully, to play your card with the political will. Because that political will, I'm not sure whether we shall manage this crisis. We are speaking and words they don't kill. But at the time the plastic pollution crisis is killing our people. We've seen the youth flooding, youth dying, losing their life in flooding in Kampala and many other parts of Uganda. So that alone is can trigger us to come up with innovative solutions, to come up with the force or the capacity, because we have the resources available. We have the stipulated laws, we have the money. Why are we importing? Why are we bringing investors from foreign countries to solve African problems? We can do the best at our own capacity. The youth have already came up with solutions. Let's support the youth to see that they can implement what they have already started. Yes.
All right then. Oh, the same question also go to Samantha, because I've always seen Samantha, you're participating in very many interventions and also trainings and community initiative. especially with both the local and also the United Nations bodies, and you have always seen, and as a scientist, what do you think that really has been a challenge, a very big challenge, especially from the community and the government, that you see that the community has not yet connected or understood this concept of plastic pollution? What is really the challenge, or what are the challenges that you as yourself, you've been participating, involving yourself in all this, that you have experienced and witnessed, that really you can table, maybe we can table before the government, or you can share with the public that, you know, there is ABC that we need to handle. So tell us.
So not to differ from Chris to begin with, we have had an issue of implementation. The government is obviously going to put up policies, it's going to say so many interesting things. I mean, let's begin with the time we banned caveras.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes.
Exactly. What happened?
Tuvek Kavera
campaign. The caveras were banned for just a few months. I don't even know how long it lasted, but I remember it was so short. Yeah?
They banned some buvelas around, but after all...
They banned, you would find in supermarkets they're now selling with paper bags.
Yeah.
Yeah? And people had kind of adapted to it, but the locals were still using caveras. You get?
Yeah, okay.
So the government is putting up good initiatives. We're going to say all these interesting things, but lack of implementation is what is going to fail us. And everyone wants to do things in their own interest. Yeah? For the caveras, I believe whoever put up the Tuvek Kavera campaign must have assessed what were the challenges in making this campaign a success. So those are the things, because we lack follow-ups on some of the initiatives that we put up, we are going to fail to achieve anything.
Okay.
Anything. We don't have follow-ups. The government is going to implement, but after a few months into the implementation process, we're not going to see results. Why is that? We don't follow up. We don't get to understand, because as much as you're imposing these policies onto the locals, they are not going to understand where you're coming from. That's why, at one extent, we also need mentorship programs.
Yes. That
get to mentor the people on the damage that plastics are causing to their community.
In different languages.
In different, in different languages, exactly. Because you're going to come and tell these people, move a kavera. For them, they can buy a big packet of kaveras at 1,000, and the 1,000 is going to sustain them for the next 1 month to sell their goods. And then here you come to tell them, stop using the kaveras, buy the paper bags. Without even telling them why. They'll tell you, Sima, it's bad, blah, 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 blah. That some of these people do not understand these things. It's more like the wetlands jazz. It's like
they talk about for the 30 microns. People, they know microns. They don't have the microns.
The policies.
So,
they don't know microns in their local language.
And let me be realistic with you, Dickens.
Yes.
When you go down to these grassroots communities, they do not know anything about the policies that are existent.
Yes.
They don't.
Yeah,
we are trying to end plastic pollution, but they do not know the damage that plastic pollution is causing. I'll give you an example. At least for some of the few communities that I've been to, you will find that you can't talk words like policies to them. Yeah, but they know the basics of we have to dump the plastic bottle, we have to dump the caveras in the right places and stuff. But it is beyond that. It's not just about dumping the bottles, dumping the caveras, but even how best are we going to transform that? Now, coming from a scientist's perspective, I think the government should now find ways of like, first of all, assessing the different challenges. And now, the locals can also be briefed, as you've said, in the local languages, to understand the magnitude of this problem, but also, let us go to these different innovations. I've been in certain innovation hubs, Yes. And most of the issues, or most of the hackathons that take place there are based on ending maybe plastics, based on curbing climate change. So all these discussions happen there. And these young people, we preach for people the young people to be innovative. But most of these innovations never come to life. Never. But the discussions are there, and I'm sure if you went through those innovation hubs, you're going to find out that there are certain innovative ideas that the young people have come up with to curb plastic pollution. So how about the government thought about investing in those projects?
Yes.
Because we are not going to tell, we are in a generation whereby some people are not just going to pick plastics. I was in a certain dialogue, and one of the leaders in our country was telling the youngsters out there that when you go back during your holidays, find ways of picking the plastic bottles, like go picking. But that is not going to apply to these people. First of all, they already now have the theory of how bad, let's say now I'm going back to the people in school, the university students, the secondary students, they have the information. So how about we looked up ideas, or we gave them a chance to be innovative, to use the science that they have from a chemistry perspective, from a physics perspective, biology. There are different ways we can join our minds together to curb this issue. And the government should be there to support us. Not supporting us, but financially mentor us. Let the problem be known out there, and let us work to curb it.
Yes. All right then, thank you, Samantha. The discussion is getting hotter and hotter, interesting. You know, it's just only time. I just want us that we go for a short commercial break. Then we shall be back continue with the discussion, since we are still looking at the issue of plastic pollution. You know, as I always remember, Right Honorable Teddy Nabakoza's what say that Wichukpa na was saying, but there is someone saying that Wichukpa will be to Waliso Wichukpa. So we don't see, we are really trying to set a balance that should we embrace this plastic, or maybe we get an alternative, because we have the National Adaptation Plan, which the government also has launched. We have the mitigation plan. All this that the government is coming up with is for the betterment and well-being of our people. Because when you talk about environment, you're talking of different biodiversity within our surrounding. That, you know, the first thing that matters is your health. Because climate change does not respect that you're rich, you're poor, why you're average, you have PhD, you don't have, why you're learned or you're not learned. It doesn't respect even you as a scientist. That's why Samantha is here, and Chris, even though they're scientists, to preach you to understand this perspective. All right then, let's go for a short commercial break, and we shall get back into the discussion. Thank you.
UCTV, good news for all. Do more with Center Mobile app. Move with your bank and pay water bills, school fees, pay light, withdraw or deposit money, pay for DSTV or GoTV, pay for Star Times, open app accounts, get loans, and so much more. Download the Center Mobile app on Google Play Store or App Store now. For more information, call our toll-free line or chat with us on WhatsApp. Centenary Bank. Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda.
Tiene que soñar.
Hello and welcome to UCTV. Welcome to Connect with Mary.
You're the Alpha and the Omega.
The Catholic television. I'm Sunday Gloria of Watch with UCTV News.
We need people to pay for content.
Bernardo Silva, Matheus Nunes, and Haaland!
Swings it across to Christie.
UCTV, good news for all.
Support the Uganda Catholic television with MTN Momo. Step 1. dial star 165 star 3 hash. Step 2. Enter merchant code 180572. Step 3. Enter any amount from 500 Uganda shillings. Step 4. Pay using MTN mobile money. Step 5. Enter PIN code and send. Step 6. You will receive a confirmation text for supporting the Uganda Catholic Television.
Ronaldo down in the area, penalty!
Don't miss the sports link on UCTV. Catch us every Monday to Friday from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. as we take you into the thrilling world of sports in football.
And Messi! Thuram! Mbappe!
Saka shoot, deflects in, Arsenal have the lead!
Netball,
Nasanga taking the shot. Look at that exceptional steal.
motorsports, boxing, swimming and much more. UCTV Sports Link with Samgenza Mustafa. Only on UCTV. Good news for all.
Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan of up to 50 million shillings for a solar-powered irrigation system on your farm. Enjoy a grace period tailored to your cash flows and loan offer amounts from 100,000 up to 50 million Uganda shillings with flexible loan periods up to 60 months. Apply for a Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan through our branches, agents, and enjoy a fixed interest rate of just 1.7% per month. Kuleza Farm with Centenary Bank agribusiness solar loan today and watch your farming dreams come to life. Visit any of our nearest branch today or call our toll-free line 0800 200 555 or 0800 335 344.
Centenary Bank.
Centenary Bank is a member of the Center Group regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Terms and conditions apply.
This week, your favorite program, Moment of Encounter.
UCTV. Good news for all.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You know, we need also to make some money always. That's the reason why we go for those short commercial break. And always ask you, those ones who want to support this program, you want to sponsor this show, you're most welcome. We are open for you, to work together. Because we believe in partnership, working together in order to achieve the national, determined contribution that the government is trying to embrace and to sell to everyone. And we need always to unite. As we say, we are united against plastic pollution, harmony with nature, for sustainable development. All these catchy words are for you and I, and for the betterment of our part of Africa and the rest of the world. And we are still continuing with this discussion of plastic pollution here in Uganda, united against plastic pollution. Do you know that Kampala always, they generate 800,000 metric tons of plastic waste annually? And where does this waste go? That's the question. And secondly, we have just a current report from the Ministry of Health that every week, an average person ingests 5 grams of this plastic pollution, which is a very big issue into the crowd, into this conversation and what the government is looking into. And that's why you see that we are trying to articulate, explore more and more about plastic pollution. And here NEMA, this time as they celebrate 30 years of environmental management and coordination, are telling you that we need to unite against this plastic pollution. So my question goes to my dear guests, Samantha and Chris. We have just seen the national cake being portion for the financial year 2025-2026. And the government is trying this time to say that we have portion for you a budget which is over, I saw like something like 500 or some 500 billion in environment. So what we are seeing that the government at least is trying to invest in environmental issue and bring also other intervention in places. Will this work out? Or if it's not going to work out, what should we do as the young people? Because we know that as young people, we are the majority. We form over 70% of the population of this country. And also not only that, Uganda as a country also, we know that we are farmers. We are agriculturalists. Whereby Uganda has over 70% of the farmers who do agriculture, who practice agriculture. With all this intervention we are seeing and the practices that support our discussion, is the government able to keep all this that we are seeing with all these 500,000 factories that we are seeing in places? So what can we do? What are the way forward as Chris, as Samantha, that we can do for this country?
First and foremost, let me talk about the government finding solution, because at the national level, I'm sure we have a number of initiatives or investors who have come up with a solution, because you can't fight a problem without having a solution.
Yeah.
I'm sure the plastic packaging bags, the so-called buvera, and the bottles, solutions are already available. We have the carrier bags. Those carrier bags are made from the natural plant-based fibers. You can, those on the industries, those companies making plastic bags should translate or transition to these eco-friendly packaging bags. That's when we shall see our intervention. That's when we shall see that the government is come up with a solution. Second, the government should also consider the banning of importation of those plastic pellets, because they are imported from China. Sinopec have companies in China making those plastic pellets. They import them to Uganda. We already have enough plastic material.
And recently I've just realized that I saw a health report that they were trying to carry out a medical examination or a scan, and they found that there were some of the microplastic in the blood cell of a person, of a human being. And that's a very big concern that we need to look at. By the time they are finding microplastic in your blood.
How they come in, at times you see us human beings, we take treated water here, especially those who live in urban area, they say they're living quite a life. We take this water treated with those substances. We have the polyamine, those substances, the pack, it's called the pack in the chemical language. That one is also not recommended, to my own understanding. We should find ways of basic and find solutions instead of us resorting to a solution. The problem instead of embarking on the problem, so embarking on a solution. So I'm sure we are taking those substances in water we take from these taps and other sources, even the food we eat, from these mineral waters we take. These plastic, they flake off, or they form microplastics when they eat, when the subject will eat. Just when the plastic we take in those, we take from those water or mineral sources we normally take during.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chris. Then, yes, our scientist, Samantha, do we think that with this support financially, because we have been crying of the climate fund, you know, we need the support, we need this and this, and we are seeing this time the government saying, you know, that we have a small portion of this fund, at least in a budget, to support this cause. And at least as the government, we are seeing that the government is trying something. But will this work out with the fund that the government is trying to table or to position to address the issue of climate change? Are we going really to, you know, register success that by 2030, Uganda at least has reduced their plastic generation, or maybe from 40% maybe to, you know, 80 or 90%? Because if we are still in only 40%, then there's still a very big problem.
Dickens, that money is not small to begin with. Those are interesting figures, and I love the fact that that portion of amount has been put aside to find ways of, you know, curbing the issue at hand. But I believe that if that money is rightly used, we are going to achieve a great percentage.
Okay.
Quote me right, if it's rightly used.
But at least we are seeing that NEMA right now is doing something, and I think they are the household name right now.
Yes.
Everyone is crying of NEMA.
Yes, NEMA is, by the way, doing quite a lot of work, really. I can upload them for that. In fact, we are with them even in Exodus College in Wakiso. And we had a representative, Mr. Ikilai, who broke down some of these concepts to the young people, and you would see they have questions, they're interested in learning. In fact, one of them asked an interesting question, but we shall talk about the question some other time because it's totally off topic. But you would see that they are interested in learning, they want to know, they want to see what role can we play in curbing the issue at hand. So that money has been put aside. But I think one of the things that the government should look into to begin with is mentorship, really. Because the people, you see, we talk about these policies in our different offices, and indeed NEMA will clearly understand, even us at university, we shall understand. But realistically speaking, people in secondary schools do not understand most of these policies.
Okay. Yes.
They are ignorant, and all they know is, let us recycle, reuse, you know, the 3 R's. Exactly, that's where they stop. But there is a lot that can be done. Plastic pollution is constantly growing. Even with this knowledge, ask yourself why we still have people that dump bottles in open space. Like someone will dump a Kavera after using it when they see a dustbin next to them. But why is that?
Okay.
Why is that? It's because people do not understand the magnitude of plastic pollution. And this is a future that we are creating for ourselves because we are young now. But a few years from now, we are going to be old people. I was seeing statistics, and they were showing that by 2050, we might be having a serious crisis.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine, climate change has been talked about from years back. Other countries face different challenges in regard to climate change. But in Uganda, for crying out loud, in Uganda, it is plastic pollution that is affecting us the most. So what do we have to do about it? Yes, we can preach for the recycle, reuse, and just as he mentioned, we have seen different initiatives that have come up. Nature in Mind has produced some awesome dustbins that I've seen, at least so far, that because they are really well made and neat, but from plastics. They have
of the local technology.
Yes. Local technology. We need technology in this because it's also just not cutting bottles and whatsoever. They have certain technology that they're using to produce these neat dustbins out of plastic bottles, but also make brooms and different things that they're making. But they're also training the people. Environment Hub, we're also doing certain activities in regard to this, but we want to involve the young people the most because the future that we are fighting for is ours, and we have to act now. So you were asking about the role that the young people have to play. Let us stand up to the cause.
Okay.
Yeah, because in universities, I love the fact that they integrated environmental science in most of the courses. But now, you will find us interacting with a friend, and they were telling me that for them, what they study is nothing related to how best, because if a laboratory technician, for example, chemistry, is learning environmental science, let it just not be genuine environmental science. Let us find ways of tactically bringing this information to the people. That as a technician, how best can you work hand in hand to curb the issue at hand? Because we all have different now speaking on the side of a technologist, at least I've seen certain innovations that are curbing plastic pollution in ways of getting building materials out of plastics.
Yeah.
So there are different initiatives that are put hand in hand.
I've seen plastic pavers.
Exactly, plastic pavers. Others use them for different wall framings and stuff like that. So you can see that from the different sectors, people are becoming creative. Even from the arts, you'll find that they have interesting games to help bring the awareness to the people out there. Because, as you said, it doesn't affect you because for you have a PhD, you have a master's, you have a bachelor's or whatsoever, but it's affecting us all. Climate change is affecting us all, and to be specific, plastic pollution. Okay. So let the government use that money effectively. Let us invest in the innovations of the young people out there, because even using the building materials, I'm sure the government hasn't yet tapped much into that. Okay. So let the government use that money to financially support the local initiatives, but also the innovations that are there in regard to curbing climate change and plastic pollution, to be specific.
Okay, with that you have talked of technology, yes. And we have seen that the government launched certain campaign that some people say that it's a failed campaign, like the Tuvek Kavera campaign, and other people have seen that they have embraced. Like for instance, when you go to NEMA, NEMA cannot allow you to enter inside their premises with your Kavera. Yes. When you go to Next Media Park, they can never allow you. And you see that even during this time of the Uganda Matters celebration that happened in Namugongo, it was also something that the church is trying to say that you need to respect the policies and we need to embrace the government programs. So with all this, don't you think that this Kavera, even though it has come already, how can we adapt with it? With the use of local technology that you pass, speaking of that, you have seen certain intervention initiative that the young people are coming up with. I've seen also young people from like universities coming up with certain prototype that they're trying to sell, but the complaint is that no one is able to support.
Stops at prototype.
Yeah, it stops, and always the prototype stop at the university, does not cross the university gate. Yes. And it was something that even I raised last week with the launch of the Green Growth campaign that we had at Macquarie University. So what can we do with the government bringing out the national adaptation plan that we already have in place? What can we do as the young people or as the community? Because you are here representing the young people, the community who are out there. What can we do with all this we have already here, Kavera, and people are saying we have failed to fight these Kaveras?
Now I would suggest first the government should at least invest that portion of that money in awareness, when educating these people from the school level and into entire community level. So without educating people, this initiative presented against plastic pollution might end meaningless. At times that's what is happening on the ground. Without educating the community on the impact of the plastic, that's like a waste of time. Second, also, I would commend the government to task the manufacturers on change of design. You have seen we can't go away without Kavera, that's how they are saying, but you should change the design. You can have the plastic, those Kavera percolated with some holes to allow water saturation. Once the plastic suddenly goes maybe to the soil, the water can saturate, that affecting the soil microorganisms. But what's happening now on Kavera, basically, the problem is also on design problem. There's a design problem as well. Because once it goes into the soil, water cannot saturate, air cannot saturate, it affects the soil performance. Even the same applies to when it goes to water, drainage system, you find that it can block water saturation, that's why flooding can come in. And so issue on Kavera, the government should task manufacturers to change the design if it's possible. If it's not possible, let's resolve to alternative means. Second, on the issue of bottles, I would task the government as well to sponsor or to support youth initiatives, because it could help to reduce the plastic footprint in our communities, because I've seen we have enough plastic bottles. I'm seeking on that because I'm sure it's one of the solutions the government should support or should embark on. Without doing that, then it's like becoming a story, or to become like a song without launching it. So another thing also I would like to talk about is also on regulations to the chemicals of concern. I'm sticking on that because I know they are affecting us as a young generation. The major cause of cancer cases in different hospitals of Uganda, we've seen cancer cases are rising due to those chemicals. They are affecting us in one way or the other, not only affecting the human being, even the other other organisms like the fish, like the other organisms which are surviving on this planet. So we should find how we shall regulate those chemicals. We have stakeholders like UMA, we have UNBS, we have NEMA, and other regulatory agencies. They should come in because they're united. You're not working as in silos. We are united. Let them come on board.
Uganda Manufacturing
Yes,
Association.
the woman, that's the woman. You should come on board with solutions because they're offering solutions to the crisis.
I think even Uganda Investment Authority should be part
they
of
should also come on board because it's affecting us.
stakeholders
Using this amount on budget, is said 4 billion.
Yeah.
That money is much.
Over like 50 to 80 billion.
That money is much. Actually, I'm sure when they come on board, they are speaking what they can do, this crisis is very small. But once they don't do, we shall speak plastic pollution for the next 20 years. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to say that. Because that's what's been affecting us. We've been speaking about plastic pollution for the past years. Then
and not to disagree from him.
Okay.
I remember the first time my eyes got opened to the whole climate change crisis in the country was in 2023 when I was participating in a hackathon that was aimed at, first of all, involving the youth and also finding ways of creating innovative solutions to curb the issue at hand. So you can imagine these are 2 years down the road, but we're still talking about the same thing. I'm sure there are people that talked about it even before I started, you see. But it is collective effort. Collective effort. Because I think one of the ways that the government can do it is, first of all, encouraging recycling of the bottles, because it's going to be, I feel like that's the first thing we need to do. You may not directly stop the manufacturers at the moment, but let's first of all find ways of handling the already existing plastics and caveras that are already dumped somewhere.
Okay.
Then if we can find better, that's investing first of all in the young people, because we see, at least from where I'm from, I see the young people pick bottles. You find someone with a big sack of bottles moving around with it.
Like one of the youth organizations that I know is Anchors for Youth Africa, whom is led by AFA. They are doing a recommendable job, and they are collecting plastic with the youth, making papers, making these briquettes out of a lot of things that I've seen that they are doing, as you've said.
Exactly. So when you say akachupa nazo sente, so those are some of the ways that you're picking the plastics, but you're earning some money to it. And that is also more like an encouragement to constantly do that. Because these young people, you're not going to get them. You're not going to get them to do these initiatives just for free. They also need money to survive. So you'll find you're giving them some money, but they are picking many plastics, and you're able to transform the plastics into better things, papers and whatsoever. But another thing that the government needs to do is to, first of all, enforce the strict laws. Like, let us be strict on the policies that we put in place. That if you have said tuveku plastic bottle, tuveku plastic bottle, let us be strong on the enforcement. We've seen countries that have survived with the eco-friendly packaging materials.
Yeah, like Singapore.
Exactly. You'll find bottles are, let's say the liquids are packed in glass bottles. Then you can also use the same. If you need to go shopping, carry your bag with you and then come out with it. So we need to have these things put in place if at all we are to think about curbing the issue of plastic pollution. Other than that, we are going to continue crying. Years back, before the plastics were in place, you people, I remember that you drink a bottle of soda and then pay double the price as you're getting it. Then they would give you your balance when you take back the bottle. Have we forgotten about those initiatives?
Those glass bottles.
Exactly. You take your glass bottle, come back with it. I understand.
And it was a motivation factor.
For me, I used to get mangoes from those bottles. I get my bottles, they give me mangoes.
Exactly. So that's the same thing now we should do with plastics. That as much
it was
as
a local initiative that was started by the local people around.
Local, exactly. Because as much as plastics have also solved some of the challenges, but it is now harming us even the more. If we are to look at the percentages back then and now, how much has plastics changed and how much has it caused harm? So we need to assess all these things. I'm sure we have good researchers out there. They can come up with these statistics.
Someone even say that that the soda in a plastic bottle is not really nice than the one in the glass bottle. That the one. So there is also the differences in taste and preference.
We need to understand.
I think the graduating pressure. That plastic cannot contain that pressure too much than a glass. So you're graduating that pressure, putting that soda.
Okay.
That's why it's
anyway, but like. We can find ways of, first of all, using those statistics during the mentorship programs, if it's to put up, because the biggest users of the caveras and the plastic bottles are actually the people in the local communities. Okay. You will find they're the ones selling the tomatoes in a cavera, you get. Yeah. Because, okay, I understand it's also the people up here, but they now have more knowledge, but the biggest users are the people in these other communities. That's why you will find. And now they even suffer the most, because even the people in the urban areas dump them and they flow to those places. You should go see a trench in Kalerwe. You want to cry because the place is damaged with bottles and caveras. Yeah. So let the government invest in, first of all, mentorship programs. Let it involve in the innovative solutions of the young people out there. So that we are not only preaching recycling and all that stuff, but we can use technology effectively to curb the problem at hand.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear guests, Samantha and Ssali, Chris. I know that we are really, time is not our best ally, but I just want to give them like maybe one minute to give your parting shot. Then we call it a day today. All right, Chris, let me start with Chris. You can give your parting shot or your last remark.
Okay, thank you so much. Mine is a simple one. As you are looking at United Against Plastic Pollution, I'm just imploring to the government to play their cards, and especially on the implementation process. If you want people to sustainably or carefully handle plastic waste, then you should also ensure that you put dust bins at every location. That's when we shall also have to mitigate the problem of plastic pollution. Second, to educate our communities. We have campaigns we are running in Uganda, as Safe Uganda. We're training people how to sustainably live without harming environment. We train them to plant trees. We train them to manage waste sustainably, how to use dust bins. The government should support our initiatives. Once it gets supported, you don't need much money. You can't take that 8 billion on the budget. But you can just do this work with passion, because that's what we've been doing with limited finances, been running these initiatives. Nature in Mind have done a great work, and other initiatives in Uganda, I'm not supporting Nature in Mind, I'm not marketing them, but what they have done is evident. I've been seeing it in different places like Ministry of Environment. I've seen their innovation in that NEMA. I've seen their innovation everywhere. And second, also, there's a problem which is happening in this nation, is a post-event waste management is also a problem. You have a campaign about plastic, but you leave plastic bottles everywhere. That we need to also take caution on that. As we are speaking, let's speak salt, we take salt. Not speaking salt, we take sugar. Let's speak what we can. If you want to do it, let's leave it. So the issue of plastic pollution, I put the ball on the government. People are playing their cards successfully, but the government is failing them. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Thank you, Ssali. Thank you, Chris. I hope to have you next time back in the discussion. All right. Samantha, your parting shot? The viewers.
With over 78% of the young people in the country, I believe it's our time to stand up and fight against plastic pollution. It may not be something big, but the small efforts that we have can create significant impact. Imagine if all of us out there in all your different capacities, as a technologist, as an artist, as all the different people out there, as long as you have the energy, you're young, let us use this energy effectively, because we're not talking about just plastic pollution or the theme being united for plastic pollution, but we are talking about a future that we want to live in peacefully and well. The environment or climate change affects us all, and that we should know. So if at all it's a responsibility, it should be collective responsibility to end this problem at hand. So with the government and all the different stakeholders, I call on to you to work with us. Let us collaborate and let us fight climate change together. and plastic pollution, to be specific.
All right then. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Chris. You know, we have come the last part of our show. As my mother always tells me that every small thing has the first test, which is catchy, and at the end you will say that, wow, I wish I could have more bite over. But it has always beginning and the end. We cannot overcome that. As we are here to make you understand all this conversation, while I also urge you that please, their time has reached. We are gearing up for World Environmental Day on 25th in Kabale. The NEMA and the team, the management, Mr. Gwal Francis, together with Dr. Akankwasa, have given a platform and an invitation to different stakeholders, partners, and even the youth, the young people. Please, you have a part to play and you've been invited. Even the government this time through NEMA has provided even transportation free to add for this celebration. So please come and join the celebration on 25th. That's next week on Wednesday. But the team is leaving on 23rd. Come and enjoy, come and learn, come and network, see different initiatives, because we'll be having exhibition tables, things which will be at. And also after that, we shall have the Sustainability Awards that will be on Friday, celebrating all these initiatives. So there are a lot of things which are happening within the environmental arena. We know also through our initiative, we have been voted or fronted for the National Adaptation, National Adaptation Initiative. That's Youth Go Green have been seen as one of the youth organizations to be used as a focal center, a focal point for this Youth National Adaptation Network. So you can go and follow them, you can go and see, you vote them, you front the initiative, so that they can bring back all these projects that the young people can participate in. All right then, thank you my dear viewers, thank you my guests, thank you the management of UCTV, Caritas Uganda, NEMA, NFA, Ministry of Water. Thank you all the team that has been behind all the success of this show, and also the people on set. Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye-bye.
UCTV. Good news for all.